Welcome everyone, it's Neil here from 3D Tudor, back today with another amazing geometry node, and this time we're looking at trees, and we hoped actually in the end to produce a lot of these geometry nodes for all the different types of trees and bushes that you can ever wish for. But this time we're focusing in on oak trees, so we've specifically designed a geometry node to create any oak tree that you might actually want. Trust me guys, when you've actually learned how to use this geometry node, you'll be able to create hundreds of oak trees in a few seconds. Now if you like what we do here, give this video a like please. Put down below what you actually think of this geometry node. And don't forget you can get all of these geometry nodes, all of our courses, absolutely free on our Patreon. Now enough of all that, let's get started with our oak tree geometry node. So first of all, this is what you'll be greeted with. I've got a cube in there. What I'm going to use. So I'm just going to bring this cube over, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just actually going to move all of this, so this part here, just to the side, just so you can see what I'm doing in real time. So let's just put that over there like so. And you will see that I've actually got it on our rendered view, so you can just see how easy it is to use, how optimized and performance light it actually is. So what I'm first of all going to do is I'm going to go over to the right hand side, and I'm going to add in my geometry node. Click the down button, and the one you want is Oak Tree Geometry Node by 3D Tudor, of course. Alright, so this is what you're actually greeted with. Now, we've got a lot of options all the way down here, but I am going to go through every single one of them so you know exactly what you're doing. Now, the first thing I tend to do is I'll come in and add my bark. So we've gave a specialized material to this as well, which I'm going to go through. So make sure you stay to the end so you can actually see this material in action. This material can be used on your other trees as well. It's really easy to use and highly customizable. So what I'm first of all going to do then is I'm going to bring in my bark. So we're going to bring in our bark like so, and you can see just how easy that actually goes on there. And this is more to give you a visual representation of what you're actually doing. So let's press the dot button, and now we can move around our actual tree. Now the first thing we can do is we can come in and we can change the seed. So no matter what you've done with your tree, you will be able to change the seed as many times as you want, giving you infinite varieties of actual trees. Next of all, as well, you can see on here, we've got seasons in here, spring, summer, and I'll show you how that works just in a second. The first thing though I want to do is I want to show you how we can actually change our tree length. So really easy to change your tree length. And we're just going to press AA so you can actually see what I'm doing. And then what we're going to do, I'm going to show you that we can actually bend our tree as well. So if I put this on 160 degrees, something like that, we can actually bend it over in case you want this, you know, in a mound on the side, you want it leaning over your road or something like that. Now we'll be going back through these options once I've actually brought in the leaves and everything, just to show you can still alter it even when you've got everything on there. So next of all then, let's look at the tree width, so we can actually change the tree width. Again, all of this in real time. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come down to the branches. I'm going to turn up the levels of these. So I'm going to turn them up to something like 5. Like so, and now you can see it's starting to look much more like an actual tree. Again, we've got options on there for minimum branch count, maximum branch count, things like this. Next of all then, we've got the split factor. So where is it going to split? Where do these branches actually come from? So we can bring it down or we can bring it up wherever you want it. So let's have it somewhere around there. And then, of course, we've got the gravity angle randomness. So this is actually how much bend we're actually getting in our tree. So how much is it actually swaying from side to side and things like that. And up here, we've also got a branch gravity bend, which enables us then to really bring those branches down or have them however we want. So we might want them leaning on the road, or we might want them all the way up here really high. Whatever it is you want, we've actually put that in there. Now we've got the last branch length, so we can actually turn this up to make these branches really long, as you can see, or bring them all the way back. And this is really effective once we've actually got our leaves on there. We've also got length randomness on there as well, so we can randomize those actual length of the actual tree on different parts of it as well. And finally then we've got the radius fall off, and the radius fall off is basically how thin do you actually want these branches. So if I come down, I can actually bring that down or bring it up, as you can see, really make them thick, not altering the actual trunk of the actual tree. So that's looking pretty nice to start with. Now I'm going to move on down. I'm going to look at the displacement. So what does this displacement do? Well, it enables you to actually twist your tree. So you can see we can have it really twisty, like something like this, or bring it all the way back and have it nice and straight, something like this. So everything in between you can imagine we can actually do with this tree now. So let's end up with a knotted tree, something like this. That's looking pretty nice. We've also got noise detail on there, so you can increase that if you want to increase all of those bends and things. We've also got noise distortion on there, so you can really start twisting it round. And I recommend you play around with these because they really are fantastic to actually get that look that you're actually looking for. You won't be able to get your first tree, you know, straight out the bag and looking amazing or anything like that. You're going to have to play around with it just a little bit. I'm just going to pull these up a little bit. All right, I think I'm happy with that. Now, moving on to the exciting part then, let's bring in our leaves. So the first thing you'll want to do is enable this. And then what you'll need to do is you'll just need to put in your spring collection, summer collection, autumn collection, which we've actually put in here for you as well. This enables you then to go in and actually change the leaves. So you can see over here is our leaves. If you want to change how your leaves look, then you can just go in and put these into this collection, enabling you to change it. The same thing goes for the trunks and these little bark pieces that are on there as well. You're also able to change those as long as you put them in the collection. So moving on back to our tree though, let's bring in those leaves. So first of all, I'm going to come in, spring collection, so obviously the spring one, summer collection is obviously the summer one, and autumn collection is obviously the autumn one. And now all you can do is you can actually go up and just with a click down menu, you can change between summer, you can change between autumn. And I think what we'll do on this one is we'll go for a summer one. I really like the summer feeling, especially now in the northern hemisphere, like where I am, we're heading into winter. So seeing nice and green trees is actually really nice. All right, so we've got our leaves on. What can we do with our leaves then? Well, first of all, we can obviously turn them on and off. We can turn from where they're coming from. So are they coming from the branches? Are they coming from the main tree? Or are they coming from everywhere? If you put everywhere, then you're going to get some leaves, you know, going down the main trunk and things like that. You can also add it from the end. So just from the end of the branches like so. And I think that's looking pretty nice. All right, so we can also come in, change the density. So if I want to bring the density down, you will see they start dropping back like so, getting us just that look that we're actually looking for. We can also change the scale of these leaves, so we can bring them really, really small or really, really big or somewhere in between. And we can also change the scale randomness. There's also a branch probability, which means that if I bring this down, the probability of it coming only on some of the branches, as you can see, like so. And don't forget as well, all the time you can actually change over the seed to get whatever you're looking for or whatever you want. So let's say, let's go through these. Let's find one we like. All right, something, maybe it's a bit twisted. Something like this, I think that looks pretty nice. All right, so the next thing then we can do, if I go back down to my leaves, we can align these leaves as well. So you might want to make them more aligned to where you're actually looking for. If you push it all the way up, you'll see they go nice and flat like so. We don't actually want that. I'm just going to align them so they're back to normal. And finally, then we've got the bark holes for this main trunk bit. The bark holes, if I turn this on, we need to find the collection, and the collection is going to be under bark extras, like so. Now, before I bring in my bark structures, I'm just going to turn up the actual width of the tree to make it a little bit thicker. Something like that's looking pretty nice. I like how that looks. And then now I'll bring in my bark extras. So if I come in, I can turn up the scale of these bark extras like so, and then I can bring in the density up and start bringing those in. So if I come around now, you can see what they look like. Let's turn the scale down a little bit, so it's a little bit less, like so. And there we go. Now we've got these little structures that are going up and down the actual tree. Now, one of the best things that we've got on here, let's pull these up. So let's put all of these up just so we can see what we're doing, is of course the roots. So you can actually enable the roots or disable the roots. It's completely up to you. And the best thing is that we can turn up the levels. So we can have as many levels as we want, as you can see. Completely crazy if you want to. We can also turn this tilt down or up, whichever way you want to go. So we'll turn it down. We'll also turn down these levels a little bit too much. We can turn up the count, so how many actually roots are coming from here. So let's put it on something like 2, like so. And now you can see we've only got those amount of roots. And we can also turn the length of the actual roots up, so we can start bringing them out like so, making them go really, really into the ground. And this is great, obviously, if you're on a mound and you want some of these roots to be sticking out in different places. So that's really handy. Again, we can change that tilt, so let's bring them down a little bit. And again, we can turn down the levels to bring them back if we want to. So always optimized for performance and things like that. We've also got a length randomness that we can turn up, as you can see. And the main thing on the roots, of course, is you do want a radius fall off. So how thick is it going to this part towards the root? So we can actually turn that down, as you can see, and have our roots as thick as you actually want to. So I think something like that looks pretty nice. And there we go. There is our tree. So it took me a few minutes to actually create the tree. And now what I can do is I can come up and change the seeds, put it to my heart's desire. Which kind of tree do I want? Any kind of tree I want. Just make sure that you first of all, put in all the details of what you actually want, how you want the bend to be. Because we can come in and put the bend on. So if I come in and bend this over, let's say 60 degrees, something like that. Now you can see it's bent over and I'm still able to change that seed to whichever I want. Now, sometimes you will end up with some breakages in the actual mesh. That does happen, of course. If that happens, just change the seed over. You can also as well bring down the width. That sometimes helps as well when we're actually dealing with any breakages that might be there, as well as the actual roots and things. So just play around with it. Not every seed is going to be perfect. It is a geometry node after all. Also as well, we can, again, while we're in real time, so we've actually got it onto our cycles render, we can come in, for instance, and bring these down now. So if I want to increase the gravity, I can really increase that and actually bring those trees down and get so many different varieties of trees. It's unbelievable. So basically an infinite variety. All right, enough of all that. Now let's go on and look at the actual material. So the material is actually here, as you can see. I'm going to head on over to this tree over here. So this is one I actually prepared earlier. I'm going to zoom into it, right into the bark, as you can see here. Let's move around a little bit so we can actually see our bark. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my shading panel. I'm going to press the little dot button, and I should, if I put this on rendered view, be right in with this tree so I can actually see what I'm doing. And there we go. Double tap the A just so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to move these over. So I've got more space to actually show you. So nothing is in the way, like so. We'll do it on this one as well. And there we go. Now we can actually see what we're doing. So this is our tree, as you can see. This is the actual shader. So you will notice within the shader, we've got edge wear, we've got ambient occlusion, gradient controls, bark controls, and even moss controls. So let's go in then and see what this can do. So first of all, I'll show you the bark controls. So we are able to change the scale. So if I bring this up like so, I'm able to make it really, really realistic if you want to. Let's put it on something like 1. And there we go. Let's pull it up a little bit. And that's looking pretty realistic now. Now we want it, let's say, a little bit more stylized. So I'll put it on 0.8. And there we go. Now it's a little bit more stylized. If I zoom out now, you can see exactly what that looks like. We can also rotate the bark. You might want to do that and rotate it, by 90 degrees or something. Now we've got an interesting one here, which is the bark roughness. If I put this on 0.2, you will see that actually it becomes a lot more shinier, a lot more wet. Now let's put it on 0.4. Let's not go so overboard. And there we go. You can see that tree's looking pretty wet now. And I can set it, of course, back to normal, 1.5, something like this. All right, we've got the normal strength on there. If I put this on 0, you will see it takes away all of that actual grain that's coming out there, all of that tree bark. And if I put it back, you can see what a difference that makes. Now, let's head on over to the left-hand side. So right over the left-hand side, everything is on a slider. You'll just be able to go in and move them around to your heart's content. So if I bring this down, for instance, let's actually put this up first of all. So let's move up this. So this is the wear color. So if I bring this up a bit more, like so, and then I bring up the wear, and now you can see that we've got all of this wear in here, like so. If I bring it up even more, you can see it just adds more of it. And we've also got a flat wear as well. If I bring this up, you will see now it adds all of that flat wear on there. Now this is really nice actually if you change the color. So if I bring this down a little bit to like the yellowy color, something like this, and there you go. Now you can see that's looking pretty nice. Even with that wear on, it's looking like a kind of older tree. Let's bring down my edge wear a little bit on there, just in those grooves and things, and there we go. As easy as that. All right, so next on the list then we've got occlusion control. So if I turn this up or down, you will see now it's getting lighter or it's getting darker. This is actually based on the texture as well. So you're really going to get a lot of depth within the tree once you start messing around with this. I'm going to put mine up a little bit like so. And next of all, we've got a gradient control. So this gradient control, if I move this up, you will notice that the tree very slightly changes color from here to here. If I bring this one down, there you go. Now you can see the difference in that. So the more I pull this up, the more gradient it's going to be to the roots or something like that. And of course, with all of these, we're also able to change the color. Now then, we've got the bark hue, so we're even able to change, you know, what color the bark is going to be. We're able to change the saturation. We're really able to make it pop with the values and things like this. So now you can see it's really popping out. And as far as the color goes, we can turn this up or down, whichever one we want, to make it dark or light. Lots and lots to play around with. And again, on the bark, we've got an ambient occlusion control. All right, so now moving over then, the moss. So let's bring in some moss. So the first thing I'll do is I'll come over and put the moss contrast on 0. And then you'll see it actually starts to have moss growing over there. We're also able to change the intensity of the moss. So I'm able to bring it more or less, depending on what you want. Let's bring it down to something like 1. Let's see what that looks like. Maybe a little bit less. So let's bring it down. Go a little bit up. So maybe 0.1. Let's try that. Maybe a little bit more. Let's try 0.4. Like so, and that's looking pretty nice. We're also able as well to change the displacement of the moss, like so. So we can change how that moss is actually going to go on there. And we're also able to obviously come in and change the color of the moss if we want to. So, you know, blending it in a little bit more with the tree. And the most important thing as well is we're able to change the scale and the size of the moss. But you can see from just a few sliders, from just a few clicks, we now have an actual oak tree that looks pretty nice, as you can see. And again, we can come in, we can go back to modeling, and I will show you as well that this texture that we've put on here, if I come in and change the seed, for instance, you can see it actually updates in real time. We can see it on our actual tree. So everything updates in real time, everything looks great, and these can be used in a forest or, you know, one of your scenes or something like that. Now, one of the things I do want to tell you just before finishing here, if you're coming over to the right hand side, it is on cycles at the moment. It does work in Eevee, as you can see, so we'll just put it on Eevee, let that load up. But the only problem you're going to have is with the actual bark. It's not going to work in you know, real time with the edgeware and things like that, because it is made for cycles. Now, if I put this back on cycles, I want to show you one more thing. So don't go yet, guys. You just need to see this. First of all, if you come down to where it says light paths, you must make sure when you're rendering it that you put this transparency up to something like 25. If not, you're going to get loads of darkness in this that you don't want, and you're going to get some artifacts around the leaves. So make sure that you put the transparency up to 25. All right, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed that. A little bit of a long one, but absolutely worth it. By now, I think this is near enough the 40th geometry node we've created. Lots more on the way. We've got lots more ideas for bushes and especially foliage, actually. Lots of geometry nodes coming out for that. Happy modeling, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.